What's up? What's up? What's up? We're back for the fourth iteration of It's a Rando.
I'm just here.
Yeah. So the topic of the day is, what got you into gaming?
Yes, this was a comment that we had on one of our previous videos that we never got around to answering. So we kind of wanted to take some time to address that because it's gonna be its own episode. Because I got a few. What you got? You want to start this off?
No, you go ahead. I want to hear your gaming adventure.
Okay. So first, I'm gonna start with this because this was actually brought to my attention. I don't know why I thought that the original PlayStation came out like after I was born. It actually came out before I was born. So
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I was playing a PlayStation for the longest, and it was like, no, this game came out maybe a few months before I was actually born, and that threw me because somebody brought that to my attention. And it was like, oh yeah, you know the original PlayStation is older than you. I'm like, no, it ain't. So I had to like Google it, and I'm just like, oh crap. And it was actually accurate. So like the original PlayStation was one of my first gaming memories. My aunt had one when she was in like high school. So me and my cousin would like sneak into her room when she went off to like school and stuff during the day, and just raid her room. So like we would mess with all her stuff in there, and she had a PlayStation. And we just like, what is this? So we started like popping the little games she had in there. I think it was like, I have a vague memory of like a Men in Black game, but I'm not sure if that was for the original PlayStation or not. But like whatever she had in there, we would just play it. We wasn't supposed to be playing it. And she would come home and just like, who was in my room? Just like losing it over that. And we would always still just go in there the next day and just keep doing it, even though we knew that she knew that we were always in there messing with her PlayStation. That's one of my first like real gaming memories, is just like getting in trouble with my cousin trying to play something that we ain't know nothing about. That was our first exposure to like a video game console.
My first exposure to a video game console was a Sega Genesis, Sonic 2. That was my first time ever playing a game, but what really got me into gaming is when I got my PlayStation. Because funny story how I got a PlayStation. I was teased a lot as a kid, and then also when you're around a lot of older people and they have games, they don't like the little kids playing their games. Like they'll lie to you, be like, oh no, the system it turns off at a certain time. I can't, turn it on, and like, oh, this game doesn't work right now. So my mom saw that. So she went and got me a PlayStation, the first PlayStation. I'll never forget when I first got that. The very first game I played on there was Ready to Rumble.
Oh yeah, let's get ready to rumble.
Ready to Rumble.
Man, that was it back then.
That was my dad is really the one who got me into gaming for real, because he played games a little bit, and he would come home from work at night, and then he'll sometimes he'll wake me up out of my sleep, and he'll show me like if he got a new game for the PlayStation, we'll play it, because he got me Ready to Rumble. That's the game me and him always played a lot, and it was the one with Michael Jackson.
You brought that to my attention because I didn't know he was on there. I would always play with Afro Thunder.
Yeah.
Was that his name? Yeah, like that was another thing. Like me and my cousin Quan would always play that. And like Afro Thunder was just the dude, his move sets and stuff like that. He was so skinny with the huge trunks, and God, everything was so pixelated back then.
Oh man. It's like, and then like when me and my dad, he bought Mortal Kombat trilogy. That was like the third Mortal Kombat game for PlayStation 1. Like we would be up all night playing those games. I have to go to school the next day. So I have to get up and go to school, but it would be up playing it and stuff. But that was really, me like really getting into games, because after that, man, I believe it was around in Christmas of 1999. I got a PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah.
Christmas of 99, I got a PlayStation 2. That was one of the biggest changes in my life ever. That's when the skin started peeling off my thumbs.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Street Fighter 3. I had Street Fighter 3 and Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance on the PlayStation 2. Thumbs dead.
Oh yeah.
I'd be sitting in front. I'll never forget. We stayed in that apartment. That we had this big TV like this. Yeah, you know what TV I'm talking about too.
Mm-hmm.
That big TV, because it was around when you came around. It was an old big TV, and I would just be sitting in front of that TV all day, every day, playing Street Fighter 3, trying to make it past Bison.
Oh, Bison was the he
God.
was the worst on that. I remember.
Man, and then I think my favorite gaming moment was when I got my very first. It wasn't my very first Dragon Ball game. Kinda. Well, actually, it was Budokai, the first Budokai game. When I seen that in a little magazine in the grocery store, I begged my dad every day to get that game. Him and my mama begged him every day. They finally got me the game. That was the game that, like, I turned into a gamer. That I was playing that. I never turned my console off. I went to bed with my console on.
Yeah.
The days of without having a memory card.
Yeah, the memory cards.
Yeah, that was like my gaming days.
And like to take it back, I don't know why I had a vague memory of Men in Black, but come to think of it, Running Wild I think was like one of my first PlayStation, like the first PlayStation exposures. That and like the Lara Croft series.
Yeah.
When that stuff came, Lara Croft was everything. Yeah.
PS1.
Like it started there and just stretched all the way throughout to the PS4 years now. Like that's crazy. Lara Croft has literally been there almost through every game.
Over 20 years.
Yeah. Like the big boobs, the pixelation, just horrible.
Another thing too, bring back fond memories on the PS1. I used to play Resident Evil, like Raccoon City and stuff, Resident Evil 3 and everything on the PlayStation 1. Like those games were great. I used to love playing those games. And then I played a couple of Dragon Ball games, but on the PlayStation 1 version of them, but they were terrible. They were Ultimate Battle 22 and Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. Those things were not good games. I didn't play those until the PS2 because I found them at Game. I don't know if y'all remember Game Crazy.
Oh yeah.
I found them there and got them and played. I was like, oh man, these things. But as a kid, I was loving it because it's like back in the day, like Dragon Ball, it wasn't, you only seen certain episodes on TV. So I was only like, the GT stuff was new to me. I was saying Super Saiyan 4s and stuff, and I'm like, what is that? Like, this stuff is cool. Then I played Ultimate Battle 22. I'm like, what is this? This is like, this game is terrible. I couldn't win for nothing in that game, like at all.
I remember too staying up nights with like my cousin. Like, shout out to my cousin Quan. He knows who I'm like. He was the one who I stayed up with at night playing games like the 64, the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
We would keep that thing on, like running all night playing, like, I think it was a driving game called Rush. We would, we drive the car, basically Rocket League, but old and pixelated. We would drive the cars up these ramps and do all these crazy tricks for no reason whatsoever. We would stay up all night playing that.
I used to love my trips to Minnesota for the summer because I would go see my cousins and stuff. My cousin BJ, we used to play. He used to have the 64. We used to play 007 and stuff on there, and then he had a GameCube, and he had Sonic Adventure 2 on there. Man, we used to be playing that, and he had Def Jam 5 from New York on the GameCube. I had that on PS2, but he had it on the GameCube as well. But Sonic Adventure 2 was the game that we just was playing like non-stop, like all throughout the day. Like we wouldn't play anything else. And my other cousin Lance, we would spend the summer, when I would spend the summer in Minnesota, we would be at my grandmother's house. I'd bring my PS2. He had Midnight Club 3 Double Edition Remix.
That's a big one.
Oh my god, we would be literally all night playing that game, and my grandma used to be pissed at us when we would be playing that game all night, like until the sun came up.
Yeah.
Like I had my little 6'4" Impala, he had his Dodge Charger, and like we was just roaming the city around because it was like where you could do the split screen.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
yeah, so man, that was some really good time.
Midnight Club was it. It really was. Like we played on the steering wheel back then. My car of choice was the Escalade. So like I had this decked out Escalade. And then you had the soundtrack to the game that was legendary. That was a Twister Overnight Celebrity playing all the time and all of that stuff. That was a really fun. That was top tier and unforgettable. Like the cars were really cool. Soundtrack was amazing to that. You know, like that was my first real driving experience. You know what I'm saying? Like behind the wheel of this fake car with fake steering wheel. Like you just felt so much older than what you were. That game was amazing. It really was.
Yeah, and then also another one too, the wrestling games back in the day.
Yes.
Me and my cousin Trayvon. Oh my goodness, me and him. I used to pre-order these games, and then I used to go down to his house because it was a point I didn't have a game at a point. I used to have games, but didn't have a game, and he had the PS2. So I would, go down to his house, and we would be creating characters, playing SmackDown versus Raw all night. SmackDown, shut your mouth. Here comes the pain. We'll be in a Hell in a Cell match for about an hour, just beating the crap out of people until all their body parts turn red.
That was the goal. That was always the goal. Make their entire body turn red.
Throw them off the top of the cell.
For no reason.
No reason. Like, man, we used to be on that stuff.
Like beat them until they could not get up for the longest.
They'll be laid out, bodies spread out, like they getting chalked up.
I remember me and Quan legit thought we killed a wrestler because of how long he was laying on the ground. I was just
Back in the day, like, it used to, if your body parts on the character, your health was that color, you would be down for about 15 minutes and not moving at all.
Yep.
Like,
and that was like the goal, would just be tearing people up on that until they got to that point. That was so fun though.
Man, to go back to those times, man, like the more simpler gaming times. I didn't really get into Call of Duty and stuff until I was an adult, honestly, because like as a teenager, I was still playing Naruto and Dragon Ball, Mortal Kombat, like all the little fighting games and stuff. But like when it came to Call of Duty, I wasn't a big fan. Like I was a fan of the zombies. Like I would play zombies, but as far as like the multiplayer and stuff, I wasn't all that into it.
I was the opposite when it came to Call of Duty. My first experience with playing it, which was the one with the presidents.
Black Ops.
Yes. So that was my first real experience of playing it, and it was with my cousin Quan again. But like he was top notch at it during the time, and I'm just like, what is it? And it was like a boot camp training with him because he was like into it, knew what he was doing. It was just like follow my lead, and it was all so fast to me. I'm just like, I can't do this, and I didn't really learn how to play one until Cold War when you trained me on it, and then like I was into it.
I turned you into a beast.
Yeah, like Cold War was the one for me. I really liked the first Modern Warfare. Now we have PlayStation 4 and 5.
The reason why I like Cold War so much is because it's literally just an upgraded Black Ops 2. Because Black Ops 2 was the Call of Duty to make me like Call of Duty. Like that Black Ops, I was playing Black Ops 2 faithfully. Like that was and I was when Black Ops 2. I was a young adult at the time. I was about 19, 20 when Black Ops 2 came out. I think. Don't hold me to that.
And I'm gonna jump back. We're gonna be all over the place with this. I'm just letting you know. Because I'm gonna jump back to the 64. Mario Kart was everybody's top tier.
Before that, before we go back to the 64. The Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series. Me and my friends used to play that all day and all night as well. We used to do tournaments to see who could win, basically just win and be the best out of the group. And we used to do that with Mortal Kombat 9 as well.
Oh yeah.
But Naruto, I always used to come out on top. They'll tell you. I used to always come out on top.
MK9 was it too for me.
When it came to that,
play that for hours.
When it came to Mortal Kombat, I wasn't messing with them in that. I just wasn't.
Mortal Kombat 9 was really, really good. That was super fun to play too. Like Sonya Blade has always been my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
I just be tearing people up at MK9. I just remember sitting like, because this is when we were in high school, we had a TV in my kitchen. So like I would bring my game system into the kitchen and just like sit there and play it near like the patio behind me and stuff, like just for hours, just tearing people up with Sonya Blade. And two, going back to like the Nintendo 64 with Mario Kart. Like that was a huge go-to for like my whole family at the time. Like even, you know, the older kids got into it, like my oldest sister and stuff like that. We would sit there and play it for hours. And one of the levels where it was a bunch of huge color blocks, we would pretend that those were like our houses. I forget what the name of that level was, but it was like one of the boards on there that you can play. And like we had these colored blocks. This is when you can do like multiplayer and stuff and plug in the other remotes, and we would all just play together like 4 people. We would pick a block, and that block would be like our house, and we just park outside of our house, you know, and just like do it that way and stuff.
Yeah, there's our game again.
Hey, Raindrop. Like, look, these kids don't know nothing about stuff like that. You know, Walt Riley is getting into the Wii now.
Yeah, he plays Mario Kart.
Yeah, so like he'll watch people play the Wii, and my God, that's considered as an old game now.
Back in the day with like the Mario stuff, me and my mom used to play it on the Nintendo because we got the original, not the original. I think it was the Super Nintendo, the one where you have to blow the cartridges and put it in there.
Well, we still did that with the 64 too, with the cartridges.
Me and my mom used to play a lot of Mario.
Like, man, what do these kids know about having to set the TV on a certain channel for the game to work back there? My God, you had, what was it, channel 3?
Yeah, and then now you know the AV used back then. We used the AV cords. Now it's just HDMI. Like don't nobody like they don't know. They do not know.
Right, and then like now you gotta buy, if you have one of those old systems, you gotta buy the HDMI. Yeah, the little converter box thing that come with it. I'm just like, what is this?
The days of, man, we go over your grandparents' house. I really hope they have the white, red, and yellow
plugins
on their TV.
If they didn't have those ports, you wasn't. Oh my God.
If they didn't have it, I used to be mad because there was if they didn't, there was a piece you needed that hooked up to the TV, and that's when you needed to put it on like channel 2 and 3. You maneuver the little thing on the converter like channel 3, 4.
Yeah. like man, that stuff was
like that. Like man, the
we
days
came
of that.
from the struggle.
Cause like I used to take my game over my grandma's house, my grandma's house a lot, and she didn't have a TV. At first, she didn't have a TV that had those on there. Oh my God, I want to play my game.
Right, the big brick TVs. Oh, it was terrible.
The Zeniths. The Zenith TVs. Those big bulky mugs. Like those things, man. Those, they used to bring them out at school on the carts with the VCR. They used to bring those out.
And then, man, like, I remember when they first introduced like internet into the game. Sometimes I was so lost.
Then
I'm like, what is this?
It was like this big bulky thing that go on the back of the PlayStation 2 to connect. So you could connect. You had to use the Ethernet connection because Wi-Fi wouldn't be at the time. You had to use the Ethernet connection. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, how do you play online? Like, I barely, like, when the PS3 came out, I still didn't know how to connect the game to the internet. It still took me like 2 years to figure it out. And when I finally figured it out, I was excited. I'm like, because I'm looking on the internet, I'm like, how people, like, SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 was the first time I ever discovered DLC.
Oh, yeah.
People had Mass Kane and, like, different versions of characters. I'm like, where y'all get these mods from? Yeah. And come to find out, you gotta buy them off the PlayStation Store, off the game. I'm like, I need to figure this out.
Right, like, what is the PlayStation Store? How you work this?
I mean, me and my cousin Trayvon, I was at his house. They had AT&T internet at the time. Man, we were up all day, and we were trying to figure out how to connect that thing to the internet. And we that's how, you know, like when we went for Christmas, that's how he remembered the password. You know, the Wi-Fi, like how fluently he remembered it.
Yeah,
was because back then they didn't have a customized password. So whatever the password was on the bottom of the Wi-Fi router was the password.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
So we memorized that whole sequence to put the password in the Wi-Fi thing. So we were, man, when we found that out, we were ecstatic. Took for our little money we had saved up. We had them take us to the store, go get those PlayStation Network cards. It was buying up that DLC for those wrestling games, man.
Yeah.
Like that stuff was, man.
But let me jump back to the, well, not really, to the PlayStation 2 days, because San Andreas was like my first exposure to
San Andreas
cheat codes.
Ooh.
Remember writing those cheat codes on a piece of paper and keeping it inside the cases and stuff?
GTA 3 was my first experience for cheat codes. GTA 3.
Man.
When I found about San Andreas, oh man.
I still had it for the little piece of paper tucked inside of the case with the cheat codes.
I did that for the Warriors.
I still remember those cheat codes because like, we lived and died by those things back then.
Yeah, like when we played the Warriors on stream and stuff, I still remember the money code.
Yeah.
And the money and health code. I'm like, oh man, like I missed this. Like,
yes, like
made me feel like like I was hacking into the game or something. Like I figured, like I'm a super genius.
Yeah, right. Because you had to not only know them, you had to put them in fast for them to actually work sometimes. Man, that stuff was crazy.
And you see, the thing about games, when we were kids, we didn't appreciate how challenging those games were.
Yeah.
Because now, you get games now, like, it's all about the graphics, so, like, the game can't be as challenging or as big. Like, for example, like, I like Elden Ring, but it still don't remind me of back how hard games were back in the day. Like, input reading is crazy in that game. Like you kind of had input reading back in the day, but it's like it was just something different. It just felt different.
Yeah,
completely different than what it is now. Because gaming now is, I don't know. It's not as long. You don't put as many hours into as many games as you once did.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like I remember keeping my PlayStation on with San Andreas, and then like missions I couldn't beat, I would come home every day just like excited to try it again, over and over and over again until I got it. Would never get it, and just keep trying at
raging.
it. Yeah, like
the controllers.
Yeah, right. Back when you could do that, because like now, it's just as bad as throwing your phone, at a wall. It's like, that's thousands of dollars. Those remotes are almost $70 to $100. Like, I ain't throwing nothing
to do that.
Yeah, like back then, that little $20 piece of plastic, I'm launching it against the wall. Back then, we didn't think nothing of it. But like now, you think twice before you do anything
back
like
then,
that.
I went through so many consoles, but back then you could go through so many consoles and get another one because they were so cheaper. PlayStation 2 was only $200. Like that's not. I'm not saying that's not a lot of money, like you spending on games, but you go, like, for instance, my very first PS2. I had that all the way up until 2005. I want to say had all the way up until 2005 until my cousin, she tripped over the cord and broke the game. Like, the game just stopped playing. Like, I guess it messed the lens up. Like, the disc.
Oh yeah, once that lens go, that's it for that PS2.
Like, it was done. So I'm like, damn, I can't play Sonic Heroes. I can't play Midnight Club. I can't play the Warriors. Like, oh, come on. And it was like, oh, the game would give me a glimmer of hope. The PS2 symbol would come up.
Yeah,
then
it's nothing else.
Black screen. I'm like, you motherfucker. It's like,
getting past that screen when you hear that little sound after that, it was just like, oh, it worked, like relief.
Come on.
It was the same with like the 64 games, the cartridges and stuff. Like once you got past that primary screen, you knew it worked, and it was just like absolute relief.
Yeah, and it's like I said, with like how much the systems cost, I'm going, get another one. And I got another PS2. I got the slim one. Then after I got the slim one, I remember that slim one I kept. That was the last PS2 I had, and then I got my PlayStation 3 for Christmas. I never forget because I was always begging my dad for that, and that was one of the rarest PlayStation 3s he found me too, because that was one of the only, it was the 80 gig, the fat one that that was the only model that could play PlayStation 2 games. So he got me that one. It had like motocross or some crazy game that was with it. But it came with an HDMI and the AV cords.
Dang, top notch. Top flight.
It came with it. I'll never forget. They told me to come downstairs, and I saw that dang PlayStation 3. I dropped to my knees and started screaming.
Yeah,
I was like,
man, stuff like that was so fun back then. Like I remember Christmas getting my first PlayStation 2, and it was the my mama also bought Guitar Hero. Hero 2.
My mom bought me for that for PlayStation 3.
Freaked out because I haven't seen the commercials and just talking about it all the time. And she actually got the full, like the guitar, the drum set, like, you know, all of that stuff with World Tour at some point. Like she bought me all of them. But like that first exposure to it was just like on Christmas, opening that up, you know, in front of everybody, you felt just top tier, you know, with stuff like that.
Speaking of Christmas, I'll never forget that Christmas. I think it was I think I had just got out of the hospital when I first got diabetes. Me and my cousins, my mom left. They all left us at the house to go to pick up some food from down the street, and we had this stupid idea like, oh, let's go peek at our gifts. And I saw that I had I had the PSP. I'm like, oh yes. And man, we got our butts towed up that day.
Yeah, you was never supposed to.
My uncle was contemplating, no, go take that. We taking all these gifts back to the stove and stuff like that. I was like, oh man.
They would always try and scare you with that stuff back in the day, like I'm taking everything back. But we would wait until midnight.
We couldn't even wait till midnight. We had to wait till Christmas morning.
Midnight was always the opening point at my house when it came to stuff like that. That's Reign up there slamming doors.
No,
it's Riley. Hey, sir. It's your remote. You gotta find it. You okay? You have a good nap, buddy? Well, a nap. You sleep good? Say hi. Tell everybody what your name is. What's your name? Say Riley. Riley. There you go.
What's your favorite game?
Who do you like, Sonic?
Or Mario?
Sonic. That's your one. Oh, okay, good job. You want a Wii? Mm-hmm. You want to play Wii Sports? Mm-hmm. The game is really 24 years old now? Didn't you say it was 20 something?
No, it came out in 2005.
Oh.
It's almost 20 years old.
Oh.
Yep, it's almost there.
God, remember, was it Xbox that tried the... Oh, no, PlayStation had it too with the Kinect and the...
That PlayStation Move.
Oh, okay. That stuff was terrible. It really was. The Wii wasn't bad. The Wii lasted past that stuff, kind of. Like, 'cause I remember wanting a Wii, was never able to get it. Went to like a cousin's house, they had it. It was like,
yeah, that was one of the hardest. That was the PlayStation 5 of that era.
Yeah, like that was really nice.
Me and my dad found Wii for my mom for Christmas when we found it at Nordstrom rack downtown, and never forget my mom was trying to get one of those things for the longest.
Yeah. But like it was so many good games when we was coming up back then, you know, so we can literally make multiple episodes on this because it's so much that I'm still leaving out, you know, like so many good games, systems, all of that we used to play back then.
Oh yeah.
God, like I don't know, we had one of the best like gaming eras growing up.
We did.
Because there was a lot that came out.
Because yeah, a reason why is because it evolved so much compared to when like older cousins and stuff were playing. Like it just evolved a lot more, and it was PlayStation 2 still has the most games out of any console.
Man, it's so much, you know, like so many different.
Well, I wouldn't say Nintendo. Maybe Nintendo, but just by itself, like the amount of games the PlayStation 2, because PlayStation 2 was the best selling console of all time until the PS4 came.
You had like to take it back. We had Spider-Man. That was on the PlayStation, right? The first one.
No, if it's the one I'm thinking you're talking about, no. The Spider-Man games that were on PlayStation were the movie games, like Tobey Maguire movie games, and then you had Ultimate Spider-Man. But those Spider-Man games you're talking about, like when like the smoke and stuff was on the ground.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, that's PlayStation 1.
Yeah. Like, I remember that one clearly. That was one of my first exposures to, like, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember when the first Spider-Man movie came out. That stuff was crazy. Like, me and Quan were super glued to that one. Part 2. I still remember watching Part 3 actively. Like, coming home, renting it. Oh, God, don't get us started on, like, Comcast days.
They got the Spider-Man 3 game for PlayStation 2 as well.
We can rent
on-demand
movies. Yeah, the on-demand recording. That's a whole episode for a whole nother day. Like, these kids don't know nothing about that struggle either. You want to play Mario Kart? I think that's a good way to end this episode. He wants to play his Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. You want to play Sonic Frontiers?
No.
Okay. You know what he want to play. All right, so we will see y'all on the next episode of It's So Rando.
Yep, and it is Rando because our kids randomly popped up.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out to Dan Ironic who suggested the question or suggested the episode, and we gonna go because like all our kids are piling in. All right, so we out.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.